Woohoo! Hi everybody. My name is Christopher Runciman. Alright, so, this is the one-page comic that we've been working on. Well, we started doing it yesterday. Anyhow, I'm going to finish this sucker off today. And I think I'm going to scan it and do some coloring in the computer. So, but in the interim, let us get the thing drawn out. Yes? What say let's? Also, I have something exciting that I want to get into as an aside. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Just, but I'm very excited. I got some mail today. I got mail. How did I get mail? I like getting mail. Mail is fun. Mail brings us back to like when we were kids. You know, something came in the mail. It's my special decoder ring. Use your decoder ring. It tells you to drink your Ovaltine. Good memories. Okay, so this is one page story that we started yesterday. And well, let's see if this works. What? Styling. Alright, so this is my page that I started yesterday. It is pretty basic and straightforward. It's two kids walking through the woods. I've left room in here. Now I draw the whole image, but I've left room with the expectation that text is going to go throughout this area here. We're about to do our next shot where the two kids are going to be looking down the barrel of the lens. This is some surface information. It goes wraps around the hill. I haven't drawn it in yet, so I don't smudge it as I get into that point of the drawing. And lastly, we've got the I'm sorry, that part was off camera. Let me fix that. So this corner of the image is going to be. Let me take my big goofy noggin off. You don't need to see me. We don't need to scare the kids. There we go. So this bottom corner area here is going to be for you know, just some surface information for getting us around the hill and revealing the big image, but it also facilitates text. And then our course of text would move through this environment here to the last panel. Okay, so the idea is that kids walking down the path, and we're going to tilt our camera angle, and according to having the kids moving forward, we've got two options for the reveal. We can invest in the kids' faces by putting them right here. We can either reveal the kids' faces in this one and have those faces be ones of surprise, but I think it resonates better if you show the surprise after you establish this you know, static face. And or the option is we have them looking down the side of the path or up into the air. And as we come around here with our story, with our text, and then we reveal this, we're going to have them looking inside of the big old scary door. And hopefully that is enough impetus to make a person turn a page into the next page and follow our story along. Should we continue our story along? Because right now this is just a one-page comic. So that's the gist. That's the meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes! So, yeah, let's continue on with that. So I think that what I'm going to go with in those options that I've laid out is that I'm going to draw the kids moving down the path towards us. Now, I'm going to tilt the frame. Bear with me. I need to do that so that I can work in a more comfortable way. And do good positioning of things. Unless I can move this sucker along a little bit farther without it becoming a contrived thing. Yeah, so we're in a pretty good spot. So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the kids' faces in here as we're moving down the path, just to reverse our camera angle. Okay, Okie dokie. So I gotta remember, if the boy's on this side and the girl's on that side, going that way, away from us, then when they're coming this way, boys on this side, girls on that side, right? That is a sticky, sticky thing that I've seen in a few instances where people have reversed their panels. They'll reverse the characters in the panels, and you're like, whoa. You want to try to catch that. Today in the studio, I am listening to, and pardon me for this, Fatoumata Diawara. Diawara? Diawara. The song's called, you don't need to hear the song. You're not hearing it anyways. That's what I'm listening in the studio today. I'm always curious about what people are listening to while they're working. If they are, some people need to work in quiet. Alright, so we're putting a little bit of a cast shadow under our little guy here. Soften up his face. Now, I want to round out the bottom of that chin. And the reason that I want to round that out is because our features sharpen with age. Got that when we're little. It's all chubby cheek, puffy face, baby, baby. And we know from the shape of his hair here, as we've exhibited twice. Boy's got some bangs. And his hair all rolls down from the top center. I might sneeze, and if I do, I apologize. Okay. So I've got my silly statement of the day up on in the talking points. Let's do some talking. Let's get real. Let's jam. I heard that said last night, and I could not stop laughing. It's the dad with chair and leg up on chair. Hey, it's just me and you, sport. Let's do some chatting. Oh, run, kid. So I'm gonna put a little shadow area in here. Carries on over the eye. And we've got our little neckline. So as we see Timmy from the back, we know he's got a collar on his shirt. I want to change the structure of his face just a little bit. Soften his eyes up. Less squaring off the eye. And let's round the tip of his nose a little more. And then we're going to pull his mouth up. And then we're getting more into childlike features. The bottom lip. That's the theory. So okay, so that's feeling good. And then this is where I'm going to put a softening line. Now we'll keep working at that. Personally, I don't think his face is childlike and soft enough. Maybe bigger ears. Maybe that's the secret. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. There we go. Happier. Sometimes it's playing around with that a little bit in order to find the actual niche that you're looking for. This little sleeve in here. And next thing, I gotta remember where his stick is, what side it is. Don't switch the sides. I almost did that down below. Yeah. So, when I make my little comment about let's do some real talking, I think that it's a challenge to use a platform, any platform that people are given as a, whether it's a social interaction through the computer or in person or whatever it is, we all have this sort of perspective that we approach things with and how we interpret the world. And I tuned in a couple of different broadcasts this morning that I checked in on. One I thought was compelling and one I did not. I'm not going to point out the one that I did not because I do not want to encourage people to go to it. But the one that I encourage that people might find some interest in is Scott Circler from Circlers did a talk today about you can make a living as an artist. You can get out there and earn away, folks. And you can find an opportunity to find vehicle to support yourself and in your creative expression. It takes some effort, it takes a lot of work, but it's doable. Conversely, the other article which I watched this morning, the way to make money is to follow my tips. That's paraphrasing because I'm not going to actually say the title. Again, I want you to search that. You don't need to look up this junk. Follow these tips, you want to be successful. Oh, this is how you have to do. And what works for one is not going to work for the next. It's just a simple reality of it. And important to recognize that not only is there the differences of lifestyle and career, these different choices that we all have about how we go about doing whatever we do, but also the different lives that we all lead. And some of the points that the person made in their very helpful and intended video were unfortunately things that a person can't afford if they don't have some degree of economic consideration, a great degree of liberty and time. And you gotta be willing to spend a measurable amount of time hustling out the door and traveling to A, B, C, or D in order to facilitate the level of success that they're talking about in the arts market. And unfortunately, I don't find that kind of advice for people helpful. Because that doesn't account for time for making. It accounts for a degree of expectation for accommodation that most people don't have. And it doesn't encourage the development of self or craft. It was the easiest road. And so I would not suggest that one was helpful. I would suggest that Scott's position that to get people to recognize that it is possible to have a modicum of success, and you might find out that in motivating yourself and taking some of the extra efforts that it might require to create your project and to get it out and to promote it, may negate you from having to follow a path where you're pursuing opportunity with a larger publisher where you're pursuing, your sense of accomplishment being based on whether or not you're working for a large name corporate institution. And I think that's helpful. Something to recognize, to tell people that, hey, you can do this, and you can do this in your own merit. But you gotta hustle. And hustling means, keep producing material, go out where you can, find some objective solutions in the immediate. It doesn't mean have connections, go out and spend money. So, yeah, it's just a real polar opposite of ways to encourage artists to get out in the field to do something. So I don't know if anybody's ever found that, and if you have, I hope you went with the thing that makes most sense for you. Rather than take on any undue stress or burden beyond your ability. So having put the stick in, lets me engage the size of this arm, pull it back a little bit. It's a kid's arm, it does not need to be a big muscular beefy guy arm. So we'll soften that up. So now we've got him in here. And so next up is to put his sister in here, who's directly beside him. Okay. So we've got little girl. So we're going to make her a little bit thicker in the face. And we'll have her talking. Soften that nose. So we'll put that in. Tighten the shape of her head up a little bit. Tighten that up and clean that in. There's a part of me that wanted to actually give her glasses, just because I like drawing glasses. Hey, look who's live. It's Philip Chandler. Hey, Philip. Yeah, it was a slower start today, but a good start nonetheless. So I think I might give this little girl some glasses. And of course, if we're going to do that here, we need to give her glasses down below as well. So let's pull in on the face. And I'm going to smooth these lines up a little bit. Okay. So they're on an adventure and they're having some fun. Around that chin. And we're going to keep the consistency of the hair as we've drawn it in. So I got my package from Frank today. I will be opening my Frank Salazar package very soon in camera. So I'm very excited. But I wanted to use that as an avenue in order to showcase Frank a little bit. So I'll probably be having to edit my text in the video here to sort of say, hey, go and look at Frank's stuff. So we got our little girl with her glasses. Yeah, I like that. It gives her a little bit of something to her face. she's got her little shirt. And so she's going to have the backpack on. So we'll give her the big old shoulder straps. It's a lot of fun drawing kids. Ah, great. I'd be happy to know, Philip says. If people get a chance to, I'm going to suggest this as well. If you want to pursue your work and pursue your creativity, even while you're engaging in different avenues, different projects and different things, don't forget to engage with others like that. I know that I'm talking to people that are already, if anybody's tuning into this, you're one of those people that's already got it figured out. It's good to chat with each other and see what each other are doing. But some people miss that. Some people lose sight of that. Think that they can operate in a vacuum, and unfortunately, we're not going to operate in a little vacuum. So I'm trying to give her some movement lines, differentiate her as a little girl, but when you're drawing kids, you're not drawing adults. So it's, you don't need to get overly carried away about defining the differences between males and females, but it's also something to recognize that there are subtle differences in little boys and little girls. It helps to give some degree of femininity to a character. Alright. So we're going to put her arm in here. There's our shoulder straps. That's how we do these though, it's super cool. So we're going to pull down another part of her arm. And here's her little divot in the arm here. So we're going to pull into this part of the shoulder, cover that up a little bit. Alright. So we've got, let's give her upper little finger a little bend to it. Just make the fingers in the hand a little bit more interesting. Lefty and righty here. And her arms are open, short sleeve shirt. So there we go, we'll put that in there. And we've got the backpack in behind. I'll put the folds of the fabric from her shorts here. Go. Some little folds along the sides. A little round the short over what would be the name if we continue the image through the panel. And bend that line a little bit, gives you a little more implied form in it. I tend to like bending, maybe sometimes unrealistically, some of my lines, to just carry your eye around see what you might see as the fabric as weakly as I've drawn it. So I have to step away for 30-40 minutes, but if you're still live drawing away, then I'll pop back in. But thanks for stopping by, Philip. It was very nice of you. By all means, you're more than welcome to stop in today. We can get this one done, and at the very least, we'll get some posted text on it, show you where we're going with the story. So, okay, so I've left her here just because I wanted to establish the whole form before I had the hair fall over the shoulder. Okay, so now we're going to put in some of these fun little marks that capture her curly hair. There we go. I'll put that hairline going up to the top. Start at that ear there. Again, conceal the end of the hair. Put a couple little dark pieces of texture in the boy's hair. All the hair runs up to the top of his head. So we've got the sister's hand behind her brother. So here the two kids are walking. Hopefully that maintains the shape of their form. What we got to get in there is the backpack. Just for that, the weight of the backpack to follow through. Carries all the doodads and whatnots. Okay, so we're going to, again, push some of these elements like we've done over here onto the side of the frame. Okay. So we'll do that by doing some larger leaves, I think. We're not overly focused on what we're doing in here and the side information. We just want to make sure that we've consistently maintained the integrity of the environment in all of our images. Can't draw them in a blank empty void if we've got them in a forest. Forests don't have blank empty voids. Unless they're magical. Okay. A couple more of those shapes. Softer as we go back. There we go. And we'll put some deeper values in here. And we're going to kind of cross some of those lines. Flatten those rocks roots them out of the path. So we've got the same thing over here. Path, some little branches, little leaves. Just a tiny bit of this business. The reason for that is that, again, this is where a lot of our text is going to be, and so we don't need to be too involved. But if we can put some shapes that emulate pre-existing shapes we have elsewhere in the image, just to keep that connectedness of the wood. Now, we've got a fair degree of flourishness in the lower part of the wood, and a degree of dead branch and bramble in the top part. So that hopefully is going to sell as bad place, good places. So I'm just going to put some shapes in here for the droopy leaves and so forth. Good stuff. Happy, happy. Some more colors and bodies and behind, and let's some of these lines throughout here. Just a little bit of information. Keep the eye moving around in the panel. There's a line back here. And then we'll throw in there a last little bit of ground leaf business. Again, this is a space that's largely going to be covered in woodlands, okay? But doesn't mean we don't want it to have some substantial shape as we're working. Happy, happy. So let's throw a bottom line onto this panel. And we're going to do one more thing into this image on this side of it. So now that we've got that laid in, I'm going to move this camera up and out of the road, okay? So you can see in the image in the camera up in the top right corner now, you can see how I'm looking at the shapes of some trees and rough shapes of buildings as I'm drawing this in. And so that's part of the course of action here. So, straighten this out. Now, we've got the larger part of the image laid in. We've got these top two panels to establish our narrative. Right? The eye follows the kids. But the eye follows the kids and goes, wow, because he's pointing at the wow moment. That's the idea. 1, 2, 3. Right? Response. So that's the objective and the directional movement of the page. Gotta have some directional movement in a page. Now, we can look at this bottom part of the image again and say, how are we going to fill this with some details that follows through? Now, we know we're going to put text, 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 right? And the little brother responds down here. Sister responds some more, links back to our sister here. So we know, same. Bump, bump, bump. Bump, 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 bump. Look at it, there it is right there. And then they go in the bottom panel goes, holy crap! Well, maybe not. So this really doesn't matter, but how this matters is that how it matters is that we're going to look at it in the case of how do I explain this? We want it to be here and be present as part of the woods, but it's not the important beat, and we're going to cover it with branches and stuff anyways. So we're going to continue on these motifs. Okay, and so if that means, let's just follow some organic shapes of leaves and go with that. Some big fronds and overlapping fronds, and it really doesn't matter for us to be overly specific. Just recognizable, identifiable shapes and patterns that your eye is going to fill in as leaves, especially when somebody puts green on them. Greetings, shalom, Christopher and Philip. Hello, greetings and shalom, Seven. Seven popped in for a moment, super cool. So we're throwing in some of these leaves, like I said. So as the kids are moving along this path, here it is at the end of it. So that's the theory. So we'll follow the eye up in an interesting way. We're going to move this sort of jig-jag pattern that emulates motion and draws the eye down this way. And so we're going to do that by having these all these little tilting shapes that keep pushing your eye in a diagonal way. But they're leaves. Just a fair amount of regular shaped leaves. Little bits of shadow that follows through there, but it's an unconscious act. Because we're sneaky. I'll embed some tree branches in there, and embed, some of this crooked growth that's starting to move through the wood. Some of these round shapes and colors of value that we've already started poking through here, and things like that, just little highlights and whatnot. So we're going to carry this forward here, and again, I've been using a red pencil in order to illustrate. I'll go back up here and do this. My intent with some of this foliage is that it sits close to us, close to the frame, and it shows us right here how these pieces of leaves and trees and so forth are closer to us than the others. Now hopefully that resonates. Now when I scan this and transfer it to line art, hopefully these heavier lines pick up a little bit darker. That's the theory. That's the idea. And of course, secondarily, we can outline the kids to push them forward as well. And that heavier line around the exterior of them hopefully gives them a little more impact. And then to the sister, so you can maybe see how the one's coming forward. It's tricky when you gotta follow the pre-established little gestural texture in that hair. I'll hold on to that. takes a moment of patience. Not gonna stick. Okay, and we can do the same in the top panel, but I think there's a pretty solid black line there and that holds through. So now we're moving into this and we're doing this tricky tilty leaf thing in order to make your eye go like that. So hopefully you're following like this. That's why we call me Miss Jackson, because I'm so cagey. No, it's because I'm nasty. Alright, so into illustrating this environment, I'm going to do the little bit of red on here, outlining her in the composition. And I think that by doing the last panel of the two kids looking into the space of the spooky building is a good point to draw the reader into, oh, flip the page, what comes next? Okay, we've already got a line around him, a line on the hand, top of the cane. Okay, so here we go. We're going to finish this aspect here. Excuse me. Try not to sneeze. Now, pardon me, I apologize. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a thicker line on this edge, follows down from the line up above. Ideally, what I should have done was either bump this up a half an inch in the bottom, but then we'll lose the hands and things like that from the kids, so I'm not going to do that. So what I might do is bump this panel down a little bit more and then shift the page up. We'll see. We'll see, because I want to draw the eye with the shape of panels. So we'll see how I go. Okay, happy. Draw back any emphasis on this around here. Okay, so now we've got this set up, and again, like I said, I'm going to noodle this down just a tiny bit more, just to make it a little more compelling. And I think that I'm going to erase this outside edge. Hopefully it's in frame. I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to push that a tiny bit more outside, just to draw your eye. It's a romantic notion anyhow. Now, because this is a pre-lined page and it has that light blue edge to it already, you're still seeing the existing line. That's fine. We're going to play with lights and darks here on the periphery anyhow, as they look through into the darkness. But ideally I'd want to wipe that out or do something with that. So now, because of this approach, we've got trim that up a little bit. We'll clean the rest of it up and post edit, or the photoshopping. cut that piece of film out of there. Alright, so now it bleeds over a little bit on the edge, and let's follow this line up and through and contain this frame. And then, as soon as I finish this bottom left corner, in just a moment, we've got a special moment ahead of us. Cats and kittens. See, I can't do that because that's silly blue line. Okay, that's fine. Happy. So, there's the shape and form of our page and all of our panels. And I got a brush. Alright, just going to do this bottom piece right here, finish this up nice and quick, and then I've got some masterful techniques to demonstrate here with ease and confidence. Thank you for sharing, Christopher. Well, that's awfully sweet, yeah? This is just, you draw enough things over time and you start figuring out stuff. The challenge is voicing that. And so I appreciate that it's coming across and it's of any help at all, 7, and I appreciate your comment. So, like I said, we're going to do a diagonal. So we're going to follow some dark and blurry forms in our foreground. Because again, that's not a draw for the eye. We want to push it out. So I'm going to be really cagey and darken out these leaves entirely down in the lower portion. So much so that this void, this black area down here, just goes further as to push the eye around. So we're almost on this page. Feeling pretty happy about it. We get to decide what's next. So we'll throw in some of these directional lines for some of this forest vines and branches and whatnot. Make sure you're overlapping some of your foliage so that it has some resonance, some dimension to it, that you know objects are behind objects. No flat trees. None of that. It doesn't do you any benefit, and it sure doesn't do that. The person's trying to understand what it is that you're drawing and trying to say. So, while we're losing it for a moment here, we're going to emphasize it again, this directional shape that we've been inserting into the foliage. So it doesn't just have to be a straight line. You can imply a diagonal movement with the shapes of the objects. By choosing which ones you want the person's eye to follow. Right? Okay, so that being said, my hands are a little more stable today. I've recovered over the last couple of days. Sometimes I get shaky hands, so hopefully this makes it a little more palatable for the viewer. So we're using some of these shapes again to force our viewer how to see, moving in this direction. And we can put a frond. I like the idea of a dead one. So I have a lot of drooping leaves in there. I tend to to shake up your shapes. So we're going to move this into, right here is where we're going to change this into blank shapes. Push that down here, repeat that pattern. Occasional spot here. For the most part, this is moving into shadow. So that's my thinking behind that. Okay. Throw some of these darker shapes towards our characters. Maybe, hopefully, somebody picks up an independent sense of, uh-oh, something in there's not right. So, we're going to carry around this idea of the occasional shape. So in the coloring process, this darker value that's moving through here builds into the lighter value of the hill. We'll carry that around. Okay, if that helps. So hopefully that's informing the colors in the viewer that the hill is starting to peek through from behind the tree. Alright, so we're just going to couple a little more shapes in here. Some more of these rocks that follow along the path, and then push some of these lines. Now, what I'm doing with these lines is suggesting that this is the direction of the path that we've been following through the other images, and that carries through. Whether anybody gets that in a conscious way or not, I don't know. But that's my idea. Okay, so now we follow through. We just got our final panel, which is going to be the kids peeking into the building itself. But I've got an exciting thing I want to show. I received a mail today from a certain Francisco Salazar, and very excited. Now, Salazar Art has sent me something. It's Captain Goggles and Mask Woman #1. And it's hey Christopher, here you like maple syrup? What is your obsession with maple syrup? These are two of the characters in his project here. Pop that open. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Very exciting. Oh, well, thank you, Seven. Seven says about the page, that's a detailed, crystal clear vision, well done on framing the panels. Now, here is what Frank has sent, and I'm very excited about this. This is a copy of the book from Taraco Comics. Art and story by Frank Salazar and Anna Raub. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now we've got some, oh, I know what that is. We've got some mini comics here. Very exciting. Looking forward to going through and reading all these. Oh, that's great. Salazar Art Nation. There we go. Let's put that up. Salazar Art Nation. For anybody that sees this, please go follow Frank. He's a cool guy. Captain Goggles and Mask Woman in. Mask Woman is typing. Oh, that's so great. Oops, I'm so sorry. That page is stuck a little bit there. Guess it's time to get things done. Mask Woman still typing. It's working out. Mask Woman still typing. Finally! The response. That's Captain Goggles and Masked Woman in the meetup. Oh, these are fantastic. I don't want to spoil it all right here. And then we've got the Field Journal, Masked Woman's Field Journal. Oh, fantastic. So yeah, so I'm very excited about reading all of these. And then this is a bundle of sketch cards, which is super cool. Congratulations, you just got a freebie. Thanks, Frank. Here's the card, Taraco Creative. Good stuff. Look at that. And then, of course, something I want to proudly brandish, Brothers in Maple. There's an ongoing dialogue amongst of us that are in Canada and with Frank about our love of maple syrup and how maple syrup is so ever present in Canada. Brothers in Maple, that's going to go proudly up on my desk somewhere. I just have to figure out where. And then here's a copy of their book, which looks like it collects the small mini comics, and that's fantastic. Oh, so nice. Whoop, I'm gonna post it. Oh, I see what's happened. Duplicate page, that's why. It's alright. I'll put that back in there. That's what he intended, so we'll stick it there. It's okay. These are really great. I really like the fact that they did the mini comics, and then when they wanted to move into a larger format, they did not waste the work and effort that was put into the other images. And good for them. This is great. This is good storytelling. Eye moves. You know, we all do our finishes in different ways, and so, you know, this is a very clear style though, and I really like it. I like the art and both of the artists that are doing. This is fantastic. It's not so bad when it's not trying to kill me. So say we all, buddy. So say we all. So thank you very much. And here's Frank Salazar and Anna Raub. And if I've mispronounced that, I apologize. But this is great. This is fantastic, and congratulations on these guys, and thank you very much. I'm really going to enjoy sitting down and reading these books tonight. This is on the top. It's moved to the top of my pile immediately to read. But thanks very much. I really like that. I'm very appreciative. A cool cover too. My goodness, these two. Rare, it says. But I am not going to put one thing with the entire package. I'm going to keep my Brothers in Maple image here. This is too cool. So I'm going to keep that on my desk so you can see it from the one camera angle there. But yeah, that's very nice. Thank you very much, Frank. That's very cool. I'm going to be reading those tonight, but I can tell you now that they look like good books with good storytelling and some fantastic fun. And they look like the kind of thing that I could read with my grandkids, which is always a real plus for me. I'm a monster that forces the kids to read. Monster. Okay, so we're just going to finish this up quick. And we've got everything laid through for our image, even though we have filled in all the composition. And it looks like we have enough space for word balloons because we've been drawing through. We have. And we've just filled in the art so that it's in behind. It's going to be, the artwork will just be nestled in behind, but we've had a consistent amount of it created so that we can place the balloons where we want and not worry about that spot. You know, it's always funny to me when people draw a thing and they leave this void. That's where the balloon goes, and they need to decide once they're putting the word balloons and the text in. Well, no, the flow works better this way. So now they got to go back and redraw some panels, and don't do that to yourself. Plan in advance. So, kids walking in the woods. Camera flips. We see the kids walking towards us as the conversation continues. But you can do it like this. Brother asks sister a question. Right here describes this environment. but we bring it back by the sister's response to the brother, right? Reverse the camera that way, and then the dialogue continues a little bit more. We have again the ability for the sister to respond to the brother's dialogue here, and then brother points out the environment. And so not only do we have the interaction of the characters going, we've considered that in advance, but we've also got the interaction of the environment. And so that works. I mean, it's the kind of thing that allows us to pursue, how we're going about, I guess how we're going about leading the eye on the page, and how we're going about following through with the way that, I guess, I think what I'm trying to say is that we want to control not only the visual composition, but we want to control the textual composition. Sounds good. Okay. So I am just trying to think about how I can put them through this doorway. How do I get these kids to stay in here looking through into the room? So I think I have an idea. I think I do. I'm going to tilt the one head in, and then I'm going to have the other head leaning towards. Like, what do you think that is? I don't know. What do you think that is? Okay, and so we're looking out from the interior of this cave now. So if I have his face, the little boy's face here, I have to think about scale here as well. Closer on the face is more connection to the emotion, but we also want to have an imposing sense of the environment around the little heads. So let's just rough shape their heads in. So here he is, leaning in, down into the right. And one of the ways that we can exhibit this is by having his little neckline go this way. On his shirt. So this is sort of supporting the idea that he's tilting in. Hopefully what I'm drawing is in camera. If it's not, I apologize, but we're all in it together. So lower this mark here, and I'll drop that and throw the shadow over here onto the shirt. And then let's raise his shoulder here. I think I need to prop that up a little bit on this side. Throw a little fold in there. To intimate that he's leaning in. Okay, so now we've got a sense that the boy is leaning in this way, and we follow the edge of the pattern that we've put through here of the brick. So we're going to do that right here. throw some of those marks onto this brick. But I'm going to stop the amount of information I've given on the brick entryway really tightly into the image itself. And the reason for doing so is because I want to really push the value and the imposing, what I say by the imposing darkness, what I'm actually specifically referring to is the fact that inside the cabin is just black. What do they see? What do they see is the idea. So these kids are looking into the unknown. Is it exaggerating how light works? Yeah, I bet it is. But when we're storytelling, sometimes it's less about the actuality, and sometimes it's more about the intent or the emotion. So there we go. So there's our layout on that side. We've got him leading in this way with the movement of his clothing and that neckline to imply that his head is shifted in. And then the second part is that we can take Bobby's nose and let's push that shadow a little bit. Right? So as he looks into the space, there's a little bit more defined shadow as he peers into the darkness. Okay, I'm just going to tilt that up a little bit so that's, as I shifted the camera, of course. Okay. And then let's lower his bottom lip as though he's saying, what do you think it is? So following the shape of his face from above, he's got his round eyes. So while we've stayed away from a ton of detail in the face here, this is our chance to, look at that boy, look at him, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed into what other people would have great reserve over. And let's draw in his ears. Oops. And then we're going to follow that same crazy bowl cut hair, but we're going to drop a little more shadow into it. And I'm not, even though the head technically breaks the boundaries of the panel, I'm not going to do that thing where some artists will just pop that head up and over. Keep it in the panel, because it also helps to build on that sense of imposition here. Right? And then we're going to put a good amount of shadow in his face. We don't want to get too crazy with our lines. We'll do it with the color itself. Okay. And then a little shadow under the chin. There's a shadow in the shirt. So there he is leaning in. And next thing to do is to put his sister leaning in on her ankle. So I think I'd like we gotta remember a couple things. There's the shoulder straps. As we're building up and we're leaning the shoulder in. And she's going to have her neckline leaning towards him. So, I know that there's a lot of drawing. Here's how to draw certain things, here's how to draw that. I hope that anybody that watches this, ideally how it's helping is that you can see some structural stuff about the build-up of the page from, somebody like myself. And while I'm not Mr. Company guy, some idea about drawing a page. So hopefully there's some tips that might be helping here. And you can learn from the idea of how to structure things, and maybe not in a stereotypical, here's a superhero setup, or here's a very animated setup, or not that these are typical things. Here's a children's storybook setup. This is kind of a more, I guess, old school style of doing it with my own arty-farty flair. So we're putting the folds in her shirt now. And then we'll draw the folds in the giving some body and form to all the shapes. So here's her arms. So now we've got her leaning into him. So that's the idea, is that we're closing. What's that say? Wow, then word bubbles are going to cover some of that beautiful illustration. It's sad sometimes. It is and it isn't, because the illustration is to facilitate the telling of the story in a visual sense. The word balloons are to tell the story in a textual sense. Now, I'm sure that there's an easy possibility for people to pick up the original pages and have the art unencumbered by the text. That's an avenue that people can explore. And, I'm all about selling originals. But, sometimes they do printed editions where they remove the art. But it's still meant to facilitate a purpose, and so we want to do it in as complete a way as we can. Whether for good or for ill, the art is going to have to give up some of itself in order to engage and enable the story. So I'm still a proponent of draw the page, and then the text goes on. So, who's this? Did someone say beautiful? We sure did. We whistled it to the wind, my brother in Maple. Frank Salazar is here, everybody. Salazar Art Nation. We just talked about the stuff that you sent me, Frank. And thank you again, sir. That is some fantastic material. And I'm looking very forward to reading that tonight. So we're just right now in the process of just finishing the last panel of the page. And getting these characters drawn in as they're reacting to the darkness. So we're drawing the big sister now. We've got the little brother drawn in. So what I was referring to again earlier with the imposition of the darkness is that we're going to draw this framing structure here of the brick in the doorway, just the same as we've done it over here. And while the little brother is looking into the room with a sense of enthusiasm, expectation, I'm going to have his sister look at it as more of a, uh-oh. Yeah, thanks. I got the maple card. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out a way to proudly post this and get that up on stuff. I think I might graph up a logo to go on the corner of the image, just for you, Frank. I'll send it to you as a ping so you can put it up on your post too. I'll get the scan and make a ping out of it for you. I love it. It's great. So this is, again, we're pushing in these black values into the brick, emulating what we've done on the opposite side. So now we know that these kids are looking through this doorway, right here. Our eye follows through, conversationally, our reversals work for the text, and then last we're left with their expressions. Let's see, just feeling out the here's the sister's expression. We'll put the top of her nose here. And drop that shadow through here. And let's round that cheek. We've got to cast down her eye. Figure out if this guy's too far over. And then the next is, of course, to give her glasses. So first we're going to put her eyebrow in there, eyebrow in there, and then the start of her ear, and move it through here. So there's that little line that helps define that face better. And glasses. So it's important to have a knowledge of where eyes, cheeks, everything else is in the face before you put the lens of the glasses in, folks. So they're about to explore the darkness, the great unknown. So the hair that has fallen over the shoulder because the neck is dropping back, the hair comes off the shoulder. So we're going to throw in this line here, shade out that hair, try a little bit of it coming over the neck. And we're just about done. See if we can take that line. We'll have to check that out in that post, because it's just a mess on there now. So, here we go. We got the faces and the two kids looking through it. So, if I can, let me see if I can get... So here's our whole page. Let me pull out the... Where is the doodad? There's the doodad. So I'm going to pull out the second camera, Happy Days, and here we should go. There we go. So now we've got our whole image in. And you can see how there's just a lowered exterior pushing out, bumping out of the main image itself here. And ideally I should do that to the top corner of this panel here as well, and maybe I'll get do that. So that's our composition. So that's how we're making our eye move around. In fact, I will do that, because that's the one thing that I think this page is lacking, because then it ties together. It's a one-page thing. We're doing as we're doing. So what we've got is brother and sister. Brother's talking to sister about the haunted cabin in the woods, and you know, the sister says, "Do you think maybe we will see it? I hope it's not too scary." Brother says, "Terrible things happen in that camera. It's full of monsters and ghosts." And she says, "I don't believe you." And he says, "It's right there." He goes, "I dare you to look in." And she says, "This isn't such a big idea. What's there to be afraid of?" Yeah, so that's it. That's our one page. Okay, this has been a lot of fun. I will take a snap of this and post it out, but I hope people have enjoyed watching and following through the process of making this one page. I'm going to scan it next, throw it in, dump some color on it, see how that goes with folks. But if anybody, and I always offer this, and I mean this, if anybody has a one-page comic idea that they would like to see me write and illustrate, so just give me the notion, give me the idea. Say that, you know, two kids go into the forest to look for a haunted cabin. That's an idea. And then that's where we structure something like this out of it, and I can walk through that process with anybody. So if you've got a notion like that, put it in the comments on the video, and then we'll go from there. And if anybody's got anything that they feel like working on or jamming on, some ideas, please let me know. And I'm more than into it. Right now we've got the promotion out for the new book, which is coming out soon. This is just my mock-up to make sure that I had all the words in the right places. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Frank. Frank liked the play. He looked at the playback of the comic, and he's glad I liked it. I really do, and I'm really going to enjoy reading those tonight. My brother and Maple. So this is the book we've got on Kickstarter right now. You can find it under Sasquatch New Beginnings. I think I put the link down below. So take a peek. We've only got a couple weeks left, and on Thursday night I will be drawing live at 8 o'clock Eastern, and doing a Bob Ross style monotone voice too. Oh, the happy little cabin in the woods, huh? Like a little cabin full of killers. So on Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, if you're able to tune in and watch, it'll be on Tardive Press. It'll also be linked to here. I'll be doing a sketch card, another one of those. It'll be a 4x6 or larger image of another one of these Sam Squanch characters. And it'll be a lot of fun. So we're having some good time. But if you can sign in, join in for that, that'd be great. Or take a look at the Kickstarter online. I hope everybody had fun. It's been a fun one-page comic to draw. I'm going to do more of these in this landscape format because I really do enjoy doing those. But yeah, tune in later on today. Okay? Thanks very much for hanging out. I'll be back tonight at 10:30, 11. Maybe 10. 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Okay? Eastern Standard Time. All right. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out. It's really cool to chat with people. Bye for now.